What's up, y'all? So today we're gonna make some Greek pita bread. We're gonna start with putting some of this active dry yeast in our mixing bowl. I'm gonna do about 2 teaspoons. Now I found this recipe on Pinterest, so this is the first time I'm making this, so we're gonna see how this turns out. Next thing we're gonna do is put about 1 cup of hot water in the bowl with the yeast. And it's just hot. Don't let it get boiling and all that. Now we're putting in some grapeseed oil, 1 tablespoon. The Pinterest recipe says olive oil, but I don't use olive oil for really anything, so I use the grapeseed oil. Now we're gonna put in our flour. Recipe calls for 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And now comes our salt. Recipe says 2 teaspoons salt. I just eyeballed it. You can measure it out if you really want to. And then we're gonna mix all that up together. If I can figure out how to put the thing on. I'm going to leave the Pinterest link to this recipe in the description box so you can go there and see all of the specifications for this recipe. I'm going to add a little bit of flour at a time until the dough isn't sticky anymore. You just need to pay good attention to what your dough is looking like because it's going to vary depending on the weather, where you live, and all that kind of stuff. And this is what your dough should look something like. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on my workspace here so that the dough don't stick to nothing. I'll rub some on my hands too. Then we're going to take our dough out and start kneading it till it's not sticky. So you go and clean your bowl out, get all that excess stuff out of there, and add some of our oil from before so that we can lay our dough in here and let it rest. Now that we've let our dough rise for about an hour or so until it's doubled in size, we're going to add some more flour on our workspace and flour up our rolling pin. Now the Pinterest recipe says that this recipe is supposed to make about 8 pita breads, so I divided my dough up into 8 pieces. So now we just gonna roll out our pita bread, make sure it's floured up real nicely so that it don't stick to nothing, and just roll it out into a circle. Now mine here is a little bit too thin. You're gonna want it to be a little bit thicker than what I've done here. And I just set my oven on 375 to let it bake. The Pinterest recipe says you're supposed to do it on the stove first and cast iron and then stick it in the oven, but I ain't got all that, so I just put it straight in the oven.